Jai Hind viewers, welcome you all in the session of the object-oriented programming with Java. Today we will explore the exception handling. We have discussed in our previous lectures that what is the exception and what is the mechanism available to handle these exceptions. We have discussed we have two sections basically. The one sections can just create the errors and informs us. The second one is just to receive the error message and take the corrective actions. Today we will discuss all these things. Viewers, I am Sudhakar Dwivedi, Assistant Professor in Information Technology Department, and today we will discuss and explore all these types of mechanisms in this session. So, in the last lectures, we have discussed that all these exceptional handling mechanisms can be broadly categorized into 4 steps. The first 2 steps is about to hit the exception and just to provide the information about the exception, what exception has occurred. That means the first 2 steps, if we are talking about, the one is about to detect the errors and another is about the throw the exception, and another one is to just catch the exception and to take the appropriate action. All these 4 major steps are divided into 2 segments. Basically, there are 2 segments. So the first segment that is related to the try block, the first segments, that is try block. This try block, and this try block, what this try block will do? So this segment is just related to exception object creator. It is exception object creator, and after creating the exceptional object, it will throws the exception object. So work of this block is to create the exception object and throw the exception object. And the catch block responsibility is to receive this exception object and handles these types of the exception. So we can broadly classify it as it is the exceptional object creator and it is the exception handler. In the try block, we will write all the codes that may cause the errors or exceptions. That means this block may have all the statements that cause an exception. So what we have learned? We have learned that the exception can be managed by separately incorporating some code, some error handling code to the programs. So which type of the code? So this is the code, try and catch block. We will need to incorporate in our programs, basically. So try block, in the try block, we will write all the statements that may cause the exception, and the catch block then handle all these types of exceptional circumstances. So this try block is for the monitoring the errors, and this catch block is for handling the exception. So this is the syntax. Try block may incorporate the code that may cause the exception, and the catch block have the exceptional object. So it will create the exception object, and that exception object is received here. And according to the exceptional object, the exceptional handling code is incorporated here. So Java uses a keyword try to preface a block of code that is likely to cause an error condition and throw an exception. That means we will write the code in the try block that is likely to cause an error condition and it also throw an exception. So what the purpose of the catch block? The catch block defines by the keyword catch, and it just catches the exception thrown by the try block. and handles it appropriately. The catch block is added immediately after the try block. We can see here. So this is the block that is for the monitoring the errors, and this is the catch block that is for the handling the errors. And we can see this may have multiple catch block and the finally block also, that we will discuss later on. So for the exception type, that means the code may have multiple types of the exception. So exception type is the type of the exception that has occurred, and it is the exceptional object, right? So we can see by this code, this is the code here, and we can see in this code the value of A is 10 and the value of B and C both are 5. And what we are trying to do here, this is the statement, x equals to A, B minus C. This is the statement. So what will happen here? This, see. So the value of A is 5. Sorry, the value of A is 10. Sorry, 10. And value of B is 5 and C is 5. So what will happen? 10 divided by 0. So it is division by 0. That is not logically correct. So what will happen? The program will successfully compile but will not execute here. So as we can see here, we know that this division, because this is the division statement, arithmetic statement, and it may cause errors. It may cause errors if the value of B and C is equal. So what we can do as to take the measures, as to handle the errors or exceptions, error condition or exception here, what we will do? We need to incorporate a error handling code here, that is try block and catch block here. So as we know, this may cause errors. So I have written this code to the try block. If we will not incorporate this try and catch block, what will happen? This line, whenever this line is executed, then it is logically incorrect, we know. So what will happen? The program crashes here or terminates here. That means this line will not be executed. And in this case, what will happen? As this line will execute, it will create an exceptional object and it is thrown. So what will happen here? It will create an exception object. It will create an exception object here and it will thrown. And that object is then catch here. So which type of exceptional object is created here? It is arithmetic exception, because we are doing the arithmetical calculation here. So what will happen? See, so what will happen? So whenever this line will be executed, it will just create an exceptional object and throws the exceptional object that is catched by this catch block. See, so in this catch block, so this is the try block that will incorporate the code that may cause the error condition or that may cause the exception, and catch block is just a exceptional handler. So catch block contains the type of the exception and then exceptional object. Here the exceptional object is created, that is type of the arithmetic exception, that is cached here. And what corrective action we have taken here? We have just print a message, that is division by 0. So as soon as this line is executed, it will create exceptional object, then this is thrown, and then this exceptional object is cached here, and then this line is executed. That means program will not terminate now. It will create a message, it will display a message that is division by 0. Next, here the B plus C, 5 plus 5. Again, When we use the plus operator, there is no problem. The value of 10, like 10, that is 1. So 1 is displayed here. So the concept here is, so as we know, this particular code or some codes or the block of code may cause some error condition or exception, or it may create some exception. We need to just incorporate that particular code into the try block, so that it may create exceptional object that we can later on catch and take the appropriate action. As in this code, we have seen there is only one catch block because it have created only one exceptional object. This particular code or any code that may have the multiple types of the exception, it may also have number of the catch statement also. So a block of the code may have one try block and multiple catch block also. So in some cases, more than one exception could raised by a single piece of the code, as I have said. So to handle all multiple exceptions, we need multiple catch block, because one catch block is required to handle one type of the exception. That means each catch block catches different type of the exception, right? That means one catch block can handle one type of the exception. If we need to handle another type of action, we need to incorporate another catch block. So when an exception is thrown, each catch statement is inspected in order, and the first one whose type matches that type of exception is happen, and that type of the catch block is executed. So what happened? Suppose here, so whenever this code is executed, this will create an arithmetical exception. So this type of object is matches against the catch block, and the object through which this object is matches, that particular catch block will be executed. So here we have written it is only this code have only one catch block, and it have arithmetic exception that is matched with this type of the exceptional object. So this catch block will be executed. In case of the multiple catch clauses, all the these exceptional object that is created by the try block is checked against these catch block exception types, and whenever these matches happen, the subsequent catch block will be executed. So this is the example of the multiple catch block. So what we can see here, we have created an array of 10 elements, right? So we have created an array that have only 10 elements. And next, what we have written? We have written a statement that is integer b, and we are accessing A11 here, and we are dividing it by 0. So there are two situations that may cause the runtime errors or that may cause the exception. First one is, we are trying to access the element that is out of the bounds of the array. That means there is no A11, because this array contains only 10 elements. So how we can access the 11th one? So this may cause some error condition, this may cause an exception. So this is one type of exception. Another one is, we are trying to divide it by 0. That means division by 0, again one exceptional circumstances. That means we cannot divide any number by 0. So what will happen here? First of all, at the very first, we are trying to access the A11 that is out of bounds of the array. And if we see, this type of the code may create or might create multiple types of the exceptions. So we need to have multiple catch block. So we have accordingly written the multiple catch block. See here, So one catch block is for the arithmetic exception, that is division by 0. Another catch block is for array index out of bounds exception. This is all inbuilt exception. So array index out of bound exception is created whenever we are trying to access an array element that is out of the bounds of the array. And this is the final catch block. So this is the main class exception. That means if we have not found any of the catch block that is matches to the exception object created here, so finally we can have these type of the exceptional object, and any type of the exception object will match here, right? We will discuss it in the subsequent sections. But what happened here? See, as soon as we are trying to access this element, it will create array index out of bound exception. That means here some object is created. One object is created and it is thrown. What object is created? Array index out of bound exception. And this type of object is matched in this type of the catch block. And we need to take a corrective action. So what corrective action we have taken? We just need to print a message. What message? That this index 11 out of bounds for the length 10. So because the length of the array is 10 in this object, so if we need to display this type of the message, we need to just access the get message method to the object. So this message will be displayed. So this type of the catch block will be executed. So while the multiple catch statements is used, it is always important to remember that exception subclass must come before their superclass. So this is the superclass of all the exceptional subclasses. So it must be noted, it must be have to remember that all the exceptional subclasses, that means array index out of bound, arithmetic exceptions, all these have to come before the superclass. A catch statement that uses a superclass will catch exception of that type. That means if we have a catch block that have the superclass, it may catch the exception of that type plus any of its subclass. That means all the subclasses exceptions are cached here. The subclass would never be reached if it come after the superclass. So what will happen if we have written this catch block at this location? So it will not reach because all types of exception will catch here. So it is no logic to write the subclass after the superclass exception. So it is point that to be noted. So I have said whatever the code that we need to protect, we need to write it into the try block, and then for handling the exception we need a catch block or multiple catch block. And if all these catch blocks may not be able to handle the exception, then we can also incorporate a code that is known as the finally block. It also has some special task also that we will discuss. So what is the finally block may be added after the try block or after the last of the catch block. And the finally block or the finally statement that can be used to handle an exception that is not caught by any of the previous catch statement. So this finally block will be used to handle all the types of exception that is not handled previously by any of the catch block. So a finally block of code always executes irrespective of the occurs of an exception or not. We can use it for the housekeeping operations like the closing the files and releasing the system resources. So for this purposes, the finally block will be used because this block will be compulsorily executed, and finally block will always appears at the end of all the catch block. So this is the finally block. See here. So here is an statement. A is 0, and again we are trying to divide an integer by 0, and here is an arithmetic exception, and we also have a finally block. What will happen here? See. So again here one exceptional object is created, and what exceptional object is created? Arithmetic exception object is created. That is matched in this catch block. That means the object that is created and thrown, it is matched by this object. That means this statement will be executed. Also, I have said the finally block will always be executed irrespective of the exception is occurred or not. So this block compulsory be executed. That means the catch block, this catch block will execute as well as this finally block will also execute. So what happened here? Here we have accessed the message. So here this message is displayed. What? That means arithmetic exception, division by 0, and the finally block. This statement is displayed because this statement is written in finally block. I have said the finally block will always be executed.